Hi, Mr. C here. What I'd like to do is show you how to go ahead and mix up glue for our veneer. Like we discussed in our prior video, we found that urea glue would be the best way for us to go ahead and proceed as far as gluing the veneer to our substrate. Now we are using different types of veneers with different applications that have grain going in multiple directions. We are using an MDF substrate, so what we've done and we have decided was to go ahead and use a urea glue. Now I've partially mixed some of this, but I want to discuss with you what the proper procedure and proper amounts for this type of glue is for this project. Now so far what I've done is I've mixed part of this, but not completely all of it. I still have a little bit more urea to put in to make this the proper amounts or the proper mixture. Now what it is it's basically a 2-to-1 ratio, or we have solids at 1 and the water at 0.65. So what I'm doing is I'm just finishing up putting the rest of the powder in. Now the reason why I used powder this year is this. We're in an unusual year. Typically I would buy the liquid form. And liquid form only has a shelf life of like 90 days once you purchase it from the manufacturer. When you buy it in powder form, well, we get a year. And since this year has been kind of different, to say it loud, putting it mildly, I decided to go ahead and go with using a powder, because this powder is good for 1 full year. So that means even next school year we can use this. So what I've done was I have my distilled water, I have my urea glue powder, I have water or my glue bottles, I have my measuring cup, and then I have a mixing bowl. I have my agitator attached to my cordless drill, so that way I can go ahead and mix this up pretty thoroughly. And what I'm doing is I'm mixing in a little bit of the powder at a time, because the last thing I want to do is have lumps and chunks inside of here. And this glue, once we've mixed it, is good for 90 days, but as you know, we should be done gluing up this project and done with this project probably the next month, the next 30 days we should be done. Hopefully we're shooting finish on this before 30 days. But let's just say we're definitely going to be inside the window of getting urea glue onto the surface and the mixture right. So I do understand that I have more glue here in this mixing bowl or mixing cup than I have available in these 2 glue bottles. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm adding a little bit of powder at a time, and that way I can make sure that I'm not getting as many lumps in here as possible. And when you're mixing this, you want to make sure that you don't splash this everywhere. You don't want to create a mess. You want to try and stay as clean as possible. I would never stick my face over this powder either. If I wasn't making a video, I would have a face mask on. I don't think it's necessary to have a respirator on, but if you had like an N95, which we're all familiar with this year, the surgical mask should do the trick. So I've mixed this up pretty good. Time to add a little more powder. And I want to show you the consistency of this when I'm done. I don't think it's not as thick as a yellow glue, for sure. Now this does create a chemical reaction with the water in this. Just moving it around quite a bit. Just taking your time, getting this right. Almost there, as you can see. There's still a significant amount in there. Just moving it around nice and slow. I have the agitator near the bottom, but not touching the bottom. Go ahead and put the rest in. I really want to show you what this looks like, the consistency. Excuse me. Also, if you're doing this in a shop setting where there's other people around working, make sure that you're not in an area that's extremely dusty, okay? You don't want to end up with some sawdust inside of your glue, okay? In the classroom environment, I know that can happen very easily if you just kind of go to a bench and start working. But if you're at home working on this, you have a far more control over that. But the best thing to do is make sure you pick out an environment that is going to be free of dust when you're doing this. If you have to, talk to me before class or the day before that you need to make your veneer glue. If you have to mix it up, and we'll just go ahead and come in early, mix up your glue before school starts, and that way you're all set, okay?